Beautiful. Good morning, Cooper, Friedman, and now City Electric. Eddie Miro here, your Lutron rep. Today, joining me directly from Lutron is our regional manager, Joe Pirro. Joe,
how we doing?
Hello. Guys, today we're going to talk to you specifically about Radio Raw 2 Select. So I know a lot of you have heard Radio Raw, that term used for well over 20 years. It was really the industry's first wireless home control system that Lutron introduced, as I mentioned, well over 20 years ago.
Yep.
Almost 40 years ago, we introduced a system called Caseta for the mass market, and we have really done a great job at Cooper Friedman, and hopefully soon with City Electric's help, in getting that product out to the contractor and attacking that mass market. So what was kind of missing was a middle market utilizing an app similar to what Caseta does. So we've addressed that now with Radio Raw 2 Select, and that is exactly what we're going to focus on today, kind of educate where that Select system sits within our portfolio of home control systems, how easy it is, and what the parameters are as far as installing a system and what to look for as far as square footage of the home. So without further ado, let's get into it. Joe?
Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate it, Eddie. And to Eddie's point, you know, years ago we launched Radio Raw 2. If you're looking at the screen, we have some, images of the products up. But, we launched Radio Raw 2, great system, software-based though, meaning, you're pulling out a laptop to program. It also doesn't fit every home, doesn't fit every budget. Again, not to overly repeat what Eddie was saying, but then we launched Caseta Wireless for the, mass market, and it's just taken off with electrical contractors, right? There's no certification. It's app programmed. It is, inexpensive, right? A little bit more than an LED dimmer, and can really, it works with all the cool home stuff that's out there. However, that product is limited, right? There's a couple things it can't do, right? It can't extend its wireless range, right? So we tell people Caseta Wireless is good for about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet, and it's good for a 50-device system. Again, fits a lot of applications, but doesn't fit them all. So we had a lot of people over the last 3 years say we need something that does a little bit more than Caseta, but we want to keep it as simple as Caseta. So that's what we did last year when we launched Radio Raw 2 Select. And as you can see in the name, the reason why it's called Radio Raw 2 Select and not a different name is because it is Radio Raw 2 parts and pieces, but it's select items available that work with this new repeater, which is like a bridge for Caseta, that allows you to use the same app and the same programming and no certification needed the same way Caseta is. So again, what we did, and again, if you're looking at the screen, you can see this, we said, what do people love about Caseta? Well, we love the fact that it's simple, it works, and our customers and us can afford it and make some money on it. And then we said, well, what do people like about Radio Raw 2? Well, they like the fact that it comes in Maestro style, right? They love the fact that it comes in all the Lutron colors, not just gloss like Caseta does. And they love the fact that it can do, a larger home, more devices in a bigger area because we can repeat that signal, that wireless signal. And also, one thing to note is they like it because it is not sold online and it's only available through the channel, right? So it gave them an avenue. So we said, okay, let's take what people love about Caseta and what people love about Radio Raw 2, and let's come out with something that kind of fits that mid-market, and that's what Raw 2 Select is.
Yeah, so Joe, I just want to emphasize, guys, it's very important. Radio Raw 2 Select is not sold in the big box stores. So it's not in Home Depot. It's not in Lowe's. It is not sold online. They were supporting you, the stocking distributor, and the pro installer.
Absolutely. Yep, so kind of diving in again, if you're looking at the screen, we kind of have the three systems thrown up on the board. And again, we're looking at, just to give you an idea where cost comes in for the three different systems. Again, this is list pricing, not your guys' pricing, but this is, list pricing, book pricing, so to speak. So Caseta, we're looking at, a base system of 5 devices, and then the device, whether it's the repeater or the bridge that gives you the app or the software control, and then some type of keypad remote to do scenes. Again, looking at Caseta, you're looking at about $600 to get started. Raw 2 Select, about $1,000, and then jumping up to Radio Raw 2, which you need to be certified for, looking at $1,700 to $1,800 to get going. So Raw 2 Select is right in the middle of those two in terms of offering. I like to think about it when sometimes you give people a good, better, best option. Usually they kind of fall right in that middle gap anyway. That's kind of right where Radio Raw 2 Select falls in. So now, again, diving into kind of what the difference is between, Raw 2 and Select, because I like to compare Caseta and Raw 2 Select more than I like to compare Raw 2 Select and Radio Raw 2, because again, Caseta and Raw 2 Select, they're the same app, same programming, no certification needed. If you understand how to program Caseta or install Caseta, then you know how to do Radio Raw 2 Select. So if you're looking at the screen now, and again, you can get with Eddie or your local rep, we have these little nice sheets available that you could have at the counter or whatnot, but kind of give you a nice comparison of what one system does versus the other when you're looking at Caseta versus Raw 2 Select. So again, Caseta, good for 50 devices, good for about 2,500 square feet, and it comes only in limited color, something gloss coloring. And then you jump over to Raw 2 Select. Now we can do a 5 to 10,000 square foot house. We can do 100 devices, so we doubled the device count. Maestro style devices, and you can get it in all the Lutron colors, right? Satin and gloss.
So just to emphasize what Joe said about the app. So when you download the app today, it says it's Caseta/Radio Raw 2 Select. Okay, it's the same app. When you fire up either one of those bridges, it'll recognize which bridge is being fired up, and then it'll bring up that menu of products, and you go ahead and program it just like you did Caseta. So it's very, very easy for a contractor that's already doing Caseta and needs the next step up as far as larger homes.
Absolutely. And now we're going to kind of dive into some of the parts and pieces of Radio Raw 2 Select, but I kind of want to close this section out with just saying, again, we're not abandoning Caseta. Caseta's not going anywhere. If you have customers that are still using Caseta or they have the applications for it, it's a home run in terms of cost and for what it does, a small home, a small area. We just want to make sure you're aware when a customer comes to you and Caseta doesn't foot the bill, right? Caseta's just not big enough. They need more devices. The customer is requesting satin colors. The customer wants Maestro style, things like that. We just want to make sure you're aware that there is an option that's just as simple as Caseta.
And those of you that I call on as far as the branches are concerned, you've heard me say this, but I think the easiest way to go about this when a contractor is interested in a home control system, just ask them how big is the house, what's the square footage of the house, right? Tells you it's about $2,000, 2,000 feet, or 2,500 square feet. You can talk Select, but obviously if it budgets comes into play, then you can go Caseta. If he says, hey, it's a 5, 6, 7,000 square foot house, don't even mention Caseta. You go right to Radio Raw 2 Select.
Absolutely. And to Eddie's point, we've gone around and we work with you guys a lot on doing these what we call pro events where we get your contractors in a room. Can't tell you how many times before we had Raw 2 Select out, we would have contractors coming up to us and they're telling us stories of where they're putting Caseta where it really doesn't belong. To Eddie's point, a bigger house. They're right at the cap of the devices. They got 48, 49 devices. The customer calls them to add another device. They got to do something different. So again, Raw 2 Select really filled that hole, and now has a solution that we can offer for any size house. That's just as simple. So now diving into kind of how to design a system and what it looks like. Well, really, there's kind of 3 steps to this, right? First is you got to have, if they want app control, you got to have what we call the Raw 2 Select repeater. Looks just like a Caseta bridge, just different color, but it still plugs in, probably hard to tell on the screen, still plugs into your router at home and plugs into power. That's all you need, right? And then once you have that, now you got to pick your devices, right? So what you got to use is any Radio Raw 2 dimmer switch or ceiling fan control or appliance module, right? So what I think is important to note here is we didn't launch a third system, as I mentioned at the beginning. It is Radio Raw 2 part numbers. So it's part numbers that are already in your system and for the most part already stocked, right? So if you're familiar with Radio Raw 2, it's the RRD devices that you already have on the shelf. They work with this main repeater, right? So again, you don't have to learn a new SKU and a SKU that doesn't work with something else. It's the same Radio Raw 2 device that we've had around that's on your shelf and the same part numbers. So again, you got to pick your devices. And then finally, if they need, you want to pick your Lutron Pico remotes, which hopefully most of you know what these are. They come in a bunch of different flavors from, looking like switches, dimmers, and then scene controllers to having icons on them to being custom engraved. Again, these are really nice local scene controls to put at, the entrance of a living room, dining room, kitchen, master bedroom, front entryway of a house. And again, what's nice about these Pico remotes is they're completely wireless. They have several different mounting options, whether they're pedestal mounts, inside a wall plate, car visor clip, things like that. And just want to, quick caveat, just, understand that our Pico remotes, they work across all of our systems. There's no separate Pico for Raw 2 Select than there is for Caseta. The same Pico you use for Caseta will work with Raw 2 Select. So the picos go across the board. The only thing you got to pay attention to is what are you using for the app. Make sure it's the main repeater with Raw 2 Select, and you got to use Radio Raw 2 dimmer switches and appliance modules in order to work Raw 2 Select, but then the picos will work with everything. So I think one of the biggest things with the Raw 2 Select that we weren't able to do with Caseta is the fact that we're able to extend the wireless range. So I mentioned before Caseta's sweet spot's 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. That's because you can only have one bridge on a system. There's no way to extend that, right? With Raw 2 Select, we sell what we call auxiliary repeaters, which look just like this device in my hand. However, it doesn't need to plug into your router. It just has to plug into power in the house. Right, so you don't have to home run this back to a router. You only have to home run the main repeater, and the wireless repeaters, they just plug into power. And you can have up to 4 of these on a system. So that's why we said Raw 2 Select can do 5,000 to 10,000 square feet, because again, if one of these is good for 2,500 square feet, put 4 more on top of that. That's how you kind of build out that system. Anything to add on that?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Absolutely. So, a couple of the different things, again, the way that these repeaters would work is each repeater can cover approximately 2,500 square feet. You just want to make sure you put the next one, within, it actually works out 60 feet in between, right, because it's got to be 30 feet. These devices shoot out a 30-foot wireless radius, right? That's kind of the bubble these things create. So if you're going to put a repeater in, you have 30 feet from this one, and then you have 30 feet from the one you're adding. So if that makes sense, you truly have 60 feet from one repeater to the next, because you have 30 and then 30. So now looking at, what are the device options? Again, I think one of the things you'll notice first is the fact that they are Maestro style, which, again, we see, especially in a lot of homes that are looking for systems, people really gravitate towards the Maestro style, which was one thing that would come up quite a bit when we would talk Caseta. Some people like Caseta like the Caseta look. Other people said, well, we want Maestro back for something like this. So now we have that available. Again, you have dimmer switches, and now what I think is interesting is we have a fan speed control, because we have a fan speed control device for Radio Raw 2.
That always comes up when we talk Caseta, right? Hey, can we do fans? No, not in Caseta, but now we can control fans with Select.
Yep. So to Eddie's point, we would get that question a couple times a week. When is Caseta going to have fan speed control? Well, I don't know if Caseta will, because we have it available for this product that's Raw 2 Select, that again is a pro product that helps the contractor separate themselves from some of the mass market stuff.
I think the other thing that's important down below, you see accessories. So because we're utilizing Radio Rod devices, all 27 colors that Lutron offers, right, the 7 gloss colors and the 20 satin colors are now available. So not only can you do all your load controllers, all the accessories can be in mocha stone, desert stone, terracotta, all of our wonderful colors that we offer. So that's very important also. It gives you a hell of a lot more color choices than Caseta does.
Yep, absolutely.
And there you go.
So again, if you're not familiar looking at the Maestro, I mean, this is the style of the dimmer, and to Eddie's point, it comes in, all the Lutron fun colors. One thing that's, we have neutral options, non-neutral options. One thing that's important to note on a Maestro device is that they have a blue screw on them for multi-location. So if any of you are familiar with using a Lutron remote dimmer or remote switch, right? So with anything Lutron Maestro, we can do 3 ways and 4 ways with accessory dimmers, companion dimmers or switches. Same thing with this product. So a couple things to note there. One, if you walk into an application where it's already wired 3 ways or 4 ways, and they want to add in this system, we're Caseta, we're convincing them to put a Pico in place of that. But sometimes they come back to it and say, well, the wire is already there for a traditional 3-way. Why am I eliminating that? Well, you don't have to with Raw 2 Select, because you could put a Raw 2 dimmer in the main location and then go put a companion dimmer wired in just like a traditional 3-way, and now you have 3-way, 4-way switching and or dimming, and that's a wired solution, and it'll look like the Maestro. It won't look like a Pico. So that's just one thing to note. And then also the companion devices do not count as additional devices on your system. So if you're looking at a house and you only have 100 devices to work in, a companion dimmer or switch does not go toward that 100. And as we mentioned, just wanted to highlight it again, now with this new system, right, Raw 2 Select, we have the ability to offer basic fan speed control, because we sell a Radio Raw 2 ceiling fan control as part of the offering. So now you do have a way to do ceiling fans with this system. So now looking at the Picos, again, the Picos come in a bunch of different flavors, and the good news is these Picos work standalone, and they work across all of our systems. So some of the most popular ones that we've been selling are the ones at the top if you're looking at the screen. These are the Picos that come to you pre-engraved, right? So what we did is we took a look at the major rooms that people like to put a scene controller, and we came up with the kitchen, the family room, and the bedside, and the entry of a home. And we came out with what do people typically engrave these, and that's kind of why we came out with these, again, to make it even easier for your contractors where they don't have to, you know, figure out what the customer wants it to say. It's, hey, you wanted a scene controller in your living room? Well, I got you one, and the scenes are bright, entertain, movie, and off, right? So it kind of takes the guesswork out, but it allows you to be able to say, I gave you a 3-scene, all-off controller in your living room, dining room, bedroom, what have you.
Joe, let's take the kitchen scene Pico controller as an example.
Yep.
There's 3 dimmers that were installed in the kitchen, and now I want to go in and add the kitchen scene Pico.
Yep.
What happens?
Absolutely. So if you're using the app, once you add that Pico, that pre-engraved Pico into the kitchen, it's automatically going to go grab all the dimmers and switches and pre-program to them and have pre-populated scenes. You always have the ability to go into the app and make adjustments, but again, if you don't want to make adjustments, you don't have to, and you can walk to the next room or onto the next job and tell the homeowner, I gave you what you wanted. You wanted a scene controller in your kitchen to do, you know, cooking, dinner, entertainment scene, or what have you, and that's what you get. So to, you know, Eddie's example, you take a kitchen, let's say it has a island on it. It's got an island light, backsplash light, and then main lights, right? You could put the scene Pico to it, and again, the scenes are bright, cooking, dining, and off. And maybe when you hit bright, all 3 lights come on. Maybe when you hit cooking, just the main lights come on and the backsplash comes on. And then when you hit dining, maybe the island light comes on. And then when you hit off, everything shuts off. Right? So you really can kind of customize that however you want. They're really slick devices. So another thing to note on these Picos that come pre-engraved, I think the biggest thing is they do have the ability to come in some of our satin colors. So again, one of the reasons to go to RAW 2 Select is the fact that you can get the dimmers and switches in satin colors. Well, now you can also match your remotes to match those devices in your house, right? One thing to note on all of our Picos is obviously they have a battery inside of them. However, that is a designed 10-year battery with LED indication that the battery's working, right? So when you hit a button on one of these, you'll see an LED light flash. If that light doesn't flash, you know you may have a battery issue. But again, these are designed 10-year standard batteries. Eddie talked about this at the start of this thing. Again, it's the same app. We didn't come out with a new app or anything new, right? So if you have the Caseta app, then you have the RAW 2 Select app. If you go to the App Store to download the Caseta app or the RAW 2 Select app, it's going to say Lutron app for Caseta and RAW 2 Select. So it's the same app. A couple things I think that's worth noting. If you haven't been on the app in several months, we overhauled the Caseta app, which is now also the RAW 2 Select app, a while ago. But just if you're looking at the screen again, it's got a different home screen. Now you break it into rooms, right? Where before, if you remember the first generation of this app, it kind of threw up all your devices on one screen, and you would have to kind of go through and figure out what you wanted to do. Now you create rooms, and now you can go into a specific room and control those devices. So it's a lot cleaner app. Again, you can do your schedules and your scenes right from the home screen. And then at the top, if you're looking at this, you get the ability to kind of do a master sweep of your lights if you left anything on when you leave home or whatnot. Some things that are definitely worth noting with RAW 2 Select that you can't do with Caseta. With RAW 2 Select, through the app, you can do the high-end and low-end trim adjustment on an LED dimmer. So if you're familiar with any of the problems with LEDs out there, is a lot of it is, you know, when you put in an LED dimmer with LED lights, sometimes the dimming performance isn't exactly what the customer wanted, right? You dim the light all the way down and the lights start dancing. For that reason, all of our LED dimmers have the ability to be low-end adjusted, right, to where, you know, you can trim that, so that way, you know, when you dim it all the way down, that light goes to a smooth level. Typically, you would do that manually on the dimmer with button presses. However, with RAW 2 Select, you can do that trim right inside the app, which is pretty neat. Again, this is just giving you a look at kind of what that looks like. If you're looking at the screen, you're able to do that trim adjustment right here on the app. So some of the things you get once you have the app, and again, this is universal. You also get all these features with Caseta too, but you get scheduling, which is by far probably one of the biggest reasons why people gravitate to RAW 2 Select or Caseta is the fact that it's got very simple digital time clock that you can set up in the app that doesn't lose time, that accounts for daylight savings, and we can do things based on the sun, right? You can have an outdoor, scene scheduled for maybe your porch lights to come on 7 days a week, 20 minutes before sunset, right? And that'll change a little bit throughout the year depending on, what time the sun sets. Another thing you get with the app is geofencing, right? Geofencing is the ability, through location services on your phone to have something happen to your home when you get within or outside of a certain bubble that you set, right? So you could have it set up when you leave home. If you left any devices on, it could send you an alert when you get a quarter mile outside your house to say, hey, you left 10 dimmers on or 10 switches on. Do you want to turn those off or you want to leave them on? I like it better for the reverse way, right? You're coming home at night. I get a quarter mile outside my house. I have a welcome scene that triggers automatically, right? Turns on my pathway lights, porch light, and maybe a light inside the house so I'm not walking into a dark home. And again, you wouldn't even have to think or touch anything. It would just happen automatically when you got within that bubble. Another key feature that you get from the app is what we call Smart Away. This is important if you go on vacation and you want to maybe put some of your lights on a timer, but you don't want it to be the same time every single night you're gone. That way people don't realize it's a timer. You can set up Smart Away to where it'll randomize certain lights throughout the night or throughout the evening to make it look like you're living there, right? It won't be the same every night.
I think it starts at 6 and ends at 11.
Yep. So one thing that's definitely worth mentioning is just like Caseta, we launched a starter kit for RAW 2 Select to get your contractors trying this product, right? To try it out in their own home, but also maybe to put it on their next job, right? So this is a very slick starter kit. What it comes with is it comes with the main repeater, right, that gives you the app control. It comes with 2 LED dimmers, and it comes with any room Pico that comes pre-engraved, and it comes with a couple different Picos to do wireless 3-ways. Right, so this is a really slick starter kit. Again, you guys have plenty of stock of this.
Yep.
It's a great way to get someone starting with RAW 2 Select.
To the contractor, it's about $100 savings, right? If he buys the package as opposed to breaking out the items. He's going to need a bridge to start anyway, right? So, and he's going to probably buy some dimmers, so you might as well point him towards the kit. You can be a hero, same $100. What we love is when the contractors buy this and put it in their own home. We find they become our best salesmen when they have it installed in their home, because then when they're out in the field showing a prospective homeowner, they can say, hey, let me show you my house. It really helps make the sale.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you can see at the bottom of this screen, but again, similar to Caseta, this RAW 2 Select with the main repeater works with all the smart home technologies out there, right? Works with all the Amazon product, works with Apple HomeKit, works with Google Assistant, works with all Nest product, works with Sonos, right? So you're still able to do all that integration that you were able to do with Caseta as well.
And guys, remember, you still have some Nest product here at the CDC, so it may not be at your branch, but it's here at the CDC, so don't forget about Nest, right? The 2 biggest things that homeowners want to control from their smart devices is HVAC, number 1, and number 2, lighting controls. We can do both.
Yep. So kind of, to almost wrap up the product, one thing that's worth noting with RAW 2 Select is there is an upgrade path if they ever need to go larger than RAW 2 Select, right? So if they walk into a situation with RAW 2 Select and they need more than 100 devices, or they maybe, for some reason, they got to do a bigger home than 10,000 square feet that RAW 2 Select can offer, or maybe they want a Lutron engraved wired C-Touch keypad that you can get for Radio RAW 2. You are able to upgrade from RAW 2 Select to Radio RAW 2. Now again, the contractor upgrading this would need to be certified for RAW 2, and they'd have to pull out a computer and program it. However, they could use the same devices they installed with the upgraded system, right? So you don't have to rip all these out to give them something bigger. So again, RAW 2 Select's a great system to lead with because really you shouldn't outgrow it, right? Where, Caseta, you may catch yourself getting into a situation where you have 48 devices, someone comes to you and they want to add a few more, we have to jump them up to RAW 2 Select, and guess what? We got to get rid of those 48 Caseta devices.
Right. Joe, a question that came up yesterday, I made a joint sales call with one of Cooper's salesmen. called on a contractor that's installed a lot of Caseta. He's really hyped up on Select, the ease of Select. But he said, hey, can I tie in a Select bridge with a Caseta bridge that's existing? And the answer to that is no.
No, you cannot, right? So Caseta doesn't cross over to RAW2 Select. They operate separately. And as I just mentioned, moving forward, RAW2 Select does cross over to Radio Raw 2, so definitely worth mentioning. But great point, because we have a lot of Caseta out there in the field. Again, if they want to go to RAW2 Select, they need to replace those devices. But moving forward, that's another reason why, you know, almost leading with this product makes sense, right? Because you're not going to outgrow it. So again, kind of going back to where we started, looking at the three systems, you know, where do they stack up? Again, to get started with Caseta, you're looking at about $600. RAW2 Select, kind of right in the middle at $1,000, and then Radio Raw 2, about $1,800. Right. So a couple things that, you know, Eddie wants to show you is, again, what we have, all the literature that you would need, whether it's at the counter to bring on a sales call. Just let your local rep know what you need, and we'll get these to you at no cost.
So this little trifold here is really designed for our distributor partners and electrical contractors, because as you walk through the brochure in the back, it will list the part numbers and descriptions. So this is where you're going to find all the part numbers for RAW2 Select components, okay, guys? So it's really designed for you and your customer, okay? This larger piece is really designed for the electrical contractor to hand out to a homeowner, right? It doesn't have any parts and pieces, part numbers-wise, I should say. Just has a lot of pretty pictures, you know, where our devices fit within the house. But again, we don't want to arm that homeowner with too much information, even though they can't buy it online. But so this is a great piece for the electrical contractor to leave behind with the homeowner. Again, back to the trifold, designed for you, the electrical distributor, and the electrical contractor.
Absolutely. So with that, that's all we had on this. Hopefully we didn't keep you too long. Thanks for joining. I mean, we'll stick, I don't know how this works, but we'll stick around for any Q&A if they come in. Again, we're here to help. You guys are great partners of ours. We do a really good job of getting this type of product out there in front of your contractor with our pro events. We want to continue that. But also, you know, we're available as things come up with builders, contractors, joint sales calls. You know, just get in touch with your local rep, or feel free to reach out to me. If you're looking at the screen, again, our contact information is on there.
Right.
Thank you.
Questions, guys, fire away. You know, I like to have a little fun, so if you want to throw some jokes in there, that's okay too. So we'll stick around for a few minutes for questions. All right, so if there's no questions, sell a lot of Select.
That's right.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.